Every season, there is always seemingly at least one anime that is underrated in almost every way, whether that be through production values, quality of writing, or simply enjoyment factor. There is always something that will fall through the cracks. And in the spring of 2020, an anime by the name of Arte aired, and by the end I was left wondering, why didn't people talk about this wonderful, wholesome anime more than they should have? Well, in today's video, I hope to get to the bottom of that, but as well review what will be a very fun, very enjoyable anime about art and the relationships that define us. This is Arte, and yes, every time I say her name, I will be doing that accent. I just can't not. It's too beautiful. Set in 16th century Florence, Arte immediately brings its own identity with its unique setting. Not many anime will have a setting like this, and that makes sense. Anime is from Japan, so likely they are to cover very Japan-centric topics and settings. So it's always something new and different when anime isn't set in a school setting or a modern big city like Tokyo or Osaka. And with Arte's time period and setting, we are able to explore much different topics. Like, for example, our main character Arte's motivations, goals, and the hurdles she'll have to climb and tackle along her journey to becoming an artist. 16th century Florence wasn't kind to women, so Arte's first goal in becoming an artist is to simply find someone who would allow her to practice her art. Arte, in this day and time, is a much different kind of person than you would see in that time period. Arte's mother wants her to be married to a noble, to start a family and raise children. But the 15-year-old Arte has a dream to become a practicing artist, and when her mother burns her drawing, she makes up her mind and goes to find someone who will teach her. She is a very cool character, and oftentimes you'll be seeing her doing things her own way. This involves sometimes completely failing. She isn't immediately good at everything. But after failing, she doesn't simply give up. She learns from her mistakes, and with time, improves herself in such a way that lets her grow from that mistake and overcome the challenge in front of her. One of the dumbest, maybe simplest examples of this is when Arte is asked to carry clay bags, which is something that usually takes two people to carry as they're so heavy. Immediately, Arte fails and can't seem to get a grip and carry it properly. But learning from her experience with the cart earlier in the episode, she learns to lift from her legs and not her back, and she is able to carry the clay bags. Now, it isn't without regret as she is left exhausted and sore. Same goes with Leo trying to weed her out by giving her an extremely difficult task like sanding and painting a bunch of boards for art. Leo gives her this heavy load of work in the hopes she'll give up, but she stays up all night and sands away, preparing the wooden boards, and she achieves what she was set out to do. But once again, she is exhausted and her hands left sore. Arte's optimism and never say die attitude shows that with a little bit of hard work and a positive mindset, you can achieve your dreams. This is such an important message in the series and something I think a lot of people can really see and take something away from. Thanks to the show's very simple way of writing and pacing, you can see for yourself what the show has to offer in terms of its messaging. Some people may call this watered down or simplistic, but I think there is value in the simple ways that Arte tells its story. Some of the best stories are simple, and it's about what you do with these simple stories to make your story more enriching. To me, Arte takes a pretty good shot at it and overall succeeds. Because of this, it lets the setting and most importantly the characters flourish no matter what role they may be in or their importance. Take Arte, for example. She's the main character of the show and she goes through lots of development and growth, and by the end she is practically an adult who can make her own decisions without fearing the expectations of others. This was a gigantic breath of fresh air, much like the show in general, but that's because by the end, Arte doesn't make her decision because she has these fleeting feelings for her instructor Leo, and not because she thinks of how her friends might react. She makes those decisions because she came to those conclusions on her own. The arc where Arte goes to Venice is a major turning point for her character. She's on her own now, away from Leo and away from the comfort of home. She must figure out how to deal with Katerina, who she is tasked with teaching her how to become like a royal. But her task proves to be much more difficult, as Katerina already knows the proper ways to act. She simply doesn't want to do them because she can't be herself in front of her family. This eventually leads to a rather fantastic revelation for the parents, and eventually Katerina has learned and grown herself from her experience with Arte. She is such a positive force in this anime, and that's why I think she makes a memorable and fun character. She brings a certain charm and attitude that makes her so infectious and lovable. She's also not the typical kind of female you'd see in anime either. Lots of the time, female characters are portrayed in certain ways, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it does get boring to have the same kind of character over and over. That's why characters like Rei Ayanami from Evangelion, Casca from Berserk, and Revi from Black Lagoon are so beloved and stand out in a lineup of a bunch of other female characters. You just don't see those things often. It's just the way storytelling is in Japan sometimes. While I don't want to just outright compare Arte to such influential characters like Rei Ayanami, I will say she is more like these characters than not, if that makes sense. Plus, Arte is swole, dude. We need more swole women like Arte. Petition for her to join the cast of the Dumbbell anime, anybody? Season 2? Arte. Come on. Right? Anyone? No? Okay. Let's move on. But we also have Leo, who plays an underrated role in this anime. He is Arte's teacher and the man that you may think she will fall in love with. But thank freaking God, the romance in this anime is 100% not a thing thanks to the anime original ending. Leo is an older gentleman, and for a minute, it seems like Arte has some sort of feelings for Leo. Now, I am pretty much okay with a woman Arte's age hooking up with a man his age because of the time period. I mean, I won't like it. I think it's rather forced if they did it, but in regards to the time period, things were different then. But man, I'm so glad Arte's feelings for Leo were just natural feelings for a girl her age to have for a man as experienced as Leo is. I mean, honestly, if I was like the inexperienced Arte, I would totally have a crush on this guy. I mean, man, look at that goatee. You know for a fact this dude is a keeper. And as well, I like how he sees himself in Arte, which is why he agrees to take her on. He sees in her the youth he once had, where he tried to get people to accept him in his art. And much like Arte, he had to scratch and claw, and the person who accepted him and taught him wasn't easy on him either. But it all paid off in the end. He instills into Arte that the world isn't fair, it isn't balanced, and she will have to work 10 times harder than the next person just to be given that chance. And so, this is one of the reasons he is so hard on her. He doesn't want to waste his time on a person who won't work hard and smart, as anything less than that would be wasted potential and wasted time and energy. And throughout the show, he serves as proper guidance for the young Arte. He just always seems like someone with his head on right, you know? As for supporting characters, we already talked about Katarina, but I do want to reinforce that she is one of the best characters in this anime. As well, we have others like the courtesan Veronica. She was a nice addition to the show and served as an eye into what went on in that time period for courtesans and females. It was quite sobering and maybe a little jarring as well when Veronica went to show Arte a freshly abused courtesan, citing that she was once beautiful and was one of the top courtesans. But love got to her, and she fell in love and strayed from her ambitions as a courtesan. Not only did this put into perspective how important the job of a courtesan was and how difficult it was, not just that they were prostitutes, they had to learn how to dance, sing, entertain, and even do art on some occasions. And her lesson to Arte is to never let love keep you from your goals and your passions. Essentially, don't let men and women dominate you. Relationships will come in time when you've established yourself and have completed your goals. Even characters like Arte's friend, Angelo, are pretty fun, even if they are on the scarce side at times. He's just simply that. Arte's friend to support her whenever she needs the help. Though, I must admit, Angelo has it rough with, I believe, 9 sisters? If I got that wrong, tell me the real number in the comments below. They're always demanding something, and since he is the only man in the house, he has, he's left to do the man things that men do in 16th century Florence. Darcy as well serves in the same role as Angelo. Even Daphne is pretty solid for the role she's in. The point being, Arte's second characters from top to bottom are enjoyable and fun. I think this show's most important lesson is simply to pursue your dreams and goals, and while doing so, strive to grow with those goals and the people who will help you get there. Arte herself cuts off her own hair, and almost her breasts, just because she wanted so bad to be an artist, something she didn't have to do as she came from a family of nobility. And I think that Arte took the life lessons and experiences she had with Leo, Veronica, Katarina, and many others to grow into the person Arte was always meant to become. And without those people in Arte's life to help her and guide her along the way, mentor her, she wouldn't have achieved her goals. I think she is a very inspirational character that, while goofy and dopey at times, has a ceaseless, charming optimism. That's something you don't see a lot these days, and I hope people who watch this anime will realize that it's important to strive to achieve your goals and to remain as optimistic as you can be on your way to becoming the person you are meant to be, whether that be an artist like Arte, a dentist, a lawyer, or whatever. If it's important to you, go out and achieve it. It's never too late to achieve your goals and pursue your dreams, no matter the age, no matter the hand you are dealt in life. That's the beauty of this show, and why it's one of my favorites of the season, and why Arte is, to me, an inspirational character. So with that being said, yeah, that's the video. Kind of ended it on a positive note. I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts about Arte? Like I said, I enjoyed it, but I want to know what you guys think. So comment. As well, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Join, become a member if you want to. And know that I also have a Patreon where on the $1 tier and above, you get access to everything. And I got a Teespring where you can buy a bunch of t-shirts if you want. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.